So what is up, guys? Soda the Savage back, and today we're here with NFL Week Teddy Bridgewater, Jalen Ramsey, Tyrod Taylor, and Garrett Hartley. It is NFL Week 5 predictions, so if you're looking to watch certain matchup, timestamps are in the description box below, so click on that matchup that you want to watch. Anyways, I've gone 3 straight weeks of going 11 for 16. I'm currently 43 or 64 in the year, so always good, but as always, there's room for improvement. Anyways, 16 matchups to get to, so without further ado, let's get this video started. Alright, so we are starting out with our very first matchup between the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks Thursday Night Football match. Honestly, who doesn't love Rams and Seahawks? Recently, it's actually been a pretty good rivalry, and hopefully it continues. Anyway, starting off the LA Rams, I thought you were unstoppable, but a 37-20 loss against the Arizona Cardinals kind of broke everyone who said that you'd be like the perfect team. Anyways, Matt Stafford threw for 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Lead rusher was Darrell Henderson with 89 yards and no touchdowns. Lead receiver was actually Van Jefferson, 6 receptions, 90 yards and a touchdown, followed by Cooper Kupp, 5 receptions, 64 yards. Definitely not as explosive as he was the first couple of weeks. And then Robert Woods, 4 receptions, 48 yards and a touchdown. The defense was nothing. It got completely exposed by both the rushing and passing game of the Arizona Cardinals, but way more of the rushing game is the rushing game just completely killed you. Like, the Cardinals have one of the best rushing games in the league, so I can't fully fault you for that. And then the Seahawks, good win last week. You know, if you want a chance to win the NFC West, you needed to win that one against 49ers. You won it 28-21. Russell Wilson threw for 149 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was not Chris Carson or Russell Wilson. It was Alex Collins with 44 yards and a touchdown, but Chris Carson had 30 yards, and then Russell Wilson, 26 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was DK Metcalf, 4 receptions, 65 yards and a touchdown, followed by Alex Collins. He was doing it all. He had 2 receptions for 34 yards. Tyler Lockett, 4 receptions, 24 yards, and then Fred Swain, 3 receptions, 20 yards and a touchdown. The defense was pretty solid against Jimmy Garoppolo at first, but then he got injured. Trey Lance came in. He did an okay job, but anyways, the defense finally got a stop, thank God, because that defense absolutely sucks. Rams are favored to win this one by 2.5. Yeah, I'm going to say that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very first Sunday matchup, 9:30 in London, between the New York Jets and the Atlanta Falcons. Starting off with the Jets, you won a game. You won 27-24 over the Tennessee Titans. Zach Wilson threw for 297 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He had an atrocious first half, but really made up for it in the second half. Lead rusher was Michael Carter with 38 yards and a touchdown. The rush game was really nothing special. But lead receiver was Corey Davis, 4 receptions, 111 yards and a touchdown. Follow that with Keelan Cole with 3 receptions for 92 yards. And then Jamison Crowder, 7 receptions, 61 yards and a touchdown. The defense struggled against the Titans, but you only put up this many points because you're going up against the Titans defense, which is not scary one bit whatsoever. And then the Falcons, you choked again. Classic Falcons, always choking. Matt Ryan threw for 283 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was Cordarrelle Patterson with 34 yards, followed by Wayne Gallman with 29 yards. But lead receiver, Cordarrelle Patterson, 5 receptions, 82 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Anyone who had him in fantasy just absolutely loved him. Followed up with Calvin Ridley, 7 receptions, 80 yards. And then Kyle Pitts, 4 receptions, 50 yards. And then Hayden Hurst, 4 receptions, 29 yards. My bad. The defense, at first it was kind of solid, but at the end they completely fell apart to Taylor Heineke and the football team. But they really struggled a lot against Terry McLaurin, but not really something I could fault you for because Terry McLaurin has been lethal this year. Anyways, but the Falcons are favored to win this one by 3, and yeah, I'm going to say that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very first 1 o'clock matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Starting off with the Broncos, well, I called it. I called you get exposed by the Baltimore Ravens, lost 23-7. Teddy Bridgewater threw for 65 yards and a touchdown. He ended up with a concussion, so Drew Lock came in, so I'm probably guessing he's going to get this start. He threw for 113 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Melvin Gordon was the lead rusher with 56 yards, followed by Javonte Williams with 48 yards, so rush game was okay. Lead receiver was Cortland Sutton, 3 receptions, 47 yards, followed by Noah Fant, 6 receptions, 46 yards and a touchdown. And then Tim Patrick, 3 receptions for 39 yards. The defense fell apart to the Baltimore Ravens, but it's something I expected. You know, didn't really fall apart. You contain them as much as possible, but your offense just could not stand up to the challenge. Then the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's panic time. Ben Roethlisberger, not what he once was, and he is holding this team back. He threw for 232 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Lead rusher was Najee Harris with 62 yards and a touchdown, followed by, actually, never mind. No one else did anything in the rush game. Lead receiver was Deontay Johnson, 9 receptions, 92 yards and a touchdown, followed by James Washington, 4 receptions, 69 yards, nice. And then Najee Harris, 6 receptions, 29 yards. Oh, and also Juju Smith-Schuster, he has been absolutely terrible this year, not living up to the hype, missing the Tik Tok. He had 2 receptions, 11 yards. The defense fell apart to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, but that's not really something I can fault you for. Not many teams can go up against Rodgers and win, so what happened happened. But even though the Steelers are in so much trouble, they're still favorites to win this game by 1, but give me the Broncos. Even if it is Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater, I just think that Pittsburgh offense does not stand a chance against the Broncos. And now you have our very next matchup between the New England Patriots and the Houston Texans. Starting off with the Patriots, I gotta say, I was impressed that you held the Buccaneers to 19 points last week. Sure, you lost 19-17, but it was a good value and effort. And as I'm filming this, Stephon Gilmore was just traded to the Carolina Panthers. So, yeah, that is a massive shock to the NFL world. But I'll get more to Stephon Gilmore later in the video. Anyway, starting off, Mac Jones threw for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He was okay against them. You guys actually had no rushing. You literally had 1 rusher in the positive. That was Nelson Aguilar, 1 carry for 4 yards. It was just so atrocious. Lead receiver was Jacoby Myers, 8 receptions, 70 yards. And he did also have 45 passing yards, so Jacoby Myers, always good with passing the ball. Then Kendrick Bourne, 5 receptions, 58 yards. And then Nelson Aguilar, 3 receptions, 55 yards. And Hunter Henry, 4 receptions, 32 yards and a touchdown. The only other person to get a touchdown was Jonnu Smith. So the tight ends really getting the touchdowns for these guys. The defense, like I said, did well against the Buccaneers, held them off as long as possible, but you missed the game-winning field goal, so that hurts. And then the Texans, I'm not going to go into this. You guys are terrible. Davis Mills threw for 87 yards, no touchdowns, and 4 picks against the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills have a really good secondary, but that was just atrocious. Lead rusher was Mark Ingram with 24 yards, and David Johnson with 21. Lead receiver was Brandon Cooks, 5 receptions, 47 yards, and then David Johnson, 3 receptions, 27 yards. Don't have to say anything else. You guys were absolutely terrible, as bad as I expected you to be. You guys are like Jacksonville last year, you know, you go 1-0, and then you're probably going to lose the rest of your games. It's probably what's going to happen. The defense fell apart to the Bills, but it's the Bills, and it's your defense, so I completely expected that. Patriots favored by 8.5 to win this one. Yeah, they're going to win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. Starting off with the Detroit Lions. Wow, I was hoping you guys would win and have Matt Nagy lose his job, but you lost 24-14. Jared Goff threw for 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was Jamal Williams with 66 yards, followed by DeAndre Swift with 16 yards. So honestly, it was not really that impressive of a performance. Forgot to get the receiving aid, but lead receiver was Quintez Cephas, 4 receptions, 83 yards, followed by St. Brown with 70 yards, and then Khalif Raymond, 3 receptions, 46 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Other than that, it was not really a good showing. Defense fell apart to the Chicago Bears. Fields had an okay day, but it was really David Montgomery and Damian Williams that just completely fried you guys. So yeah, that's a bit of a concern, although I expect you to be terrible. And then the Vikings, you guys were just silent against the Cleveland Browns. Lost 14-7. Kirk Cousins threw for 203 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. This game's going to kind of reinforce all the Kirk Cousins haters saying that he's the problem. I've said this before, he's a problem, not the problem. Lead rusher was Dalvin Cook with 34 yards, followed by Mattinson with 20. So the rush game couldn't really get anything going against the Browns, but if you saw Myles Garrett sleeveless, then I could understand why. Lead receiver was Justin Jefferson, 6 receptions, 84 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Adam Thielen with 3 receptions, 46 yards, and then KJ Osborne, 3 receptions, 26 yards. The defense, you guys held the Cleveland Browns to only 14 points. Held them off for as long as you could, but the offense just could not live up to the hype. But Vikings are favored to win this one by 8.5, and you know what? This is Dalvin Cook going up against the Detroit Lions. Dalvin Cook partly owns the Detroit Lions, so yeah. Vikings win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next match between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Carolina Panthers. Starting off with the Eagles, value and effort against the Kansas City Chiefs, but it wasn't enough. You lost 42-30. Jalen Hurts threw for 387 yards and 2 touchdowns. Man's been doing really well this year. He was also your lead rusher with 47 yards, and then Gainwell followed that up with 31 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver Devontae Smith, him and Jalen Hurts, that duo is strong. 7 receptions, 122 yards. And Zach Ertz, everyone said he had fallen off, but when he's healthy, he's pretty lethal, and the 1-2 punch of him and Dallas Goedert is slowly coming back because he had 6 receptions, 60 yards, followed by Gainwell, 6 receptions, 58 yards, and then Dallas Goedert, 5 receptions, 56 yards, and a touchdown. So, yeah, it's good to see the tight end duo back because I absolutely love Zach Ertz. The defense fell apart to Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs, but, hey, it's the Chiefs. I kind of expected that. And then the Carolina Panthers, you got exposed against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I'm not going to say that you guys still aren't playoff contenders. I still think you are, but you faced a super strong offense, and I kind of expected a loss out of that. Darnold threw for 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, no CMC, so Chuba Hubbard, 57 rushing yards, followed by Sam Darnold with 35 and 2 touchdowns. Lead receiver was DJ Moore. I expected him to pop off against Dallas. 8 receptions, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Followed by Brandon Zylstra, 2 receptions, 63 yards. Smith had 48 yards, and then Robbie Anderson, 5 receptions and 46 yards. The defense fell apart to the Dallas Cowboys, so where's that super strong defense? Oh, wait, you just traded for Stephon Gilmore. That is going to be a huge addition to that secondary. That secondary is going to be absolutely lethal. Like, hopefully it'll be lethal, but it's going to be lethal. Anyways, Panthers are favored to win this one by 3.5, and yeah, I'm going to say that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between my boys in the New Orleans Saints and the Washington football team. Starting off with the Saints. Oh boy, that was an embarrassing loss. Lost 27-21 to the New York Giants in overtime. It was so bad. Anyways, Jameis Winston had 226 passing yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. It was his best game he played as a Saint, but like I said in my recap video, it's small sample size. Then Taysom Hill, 9 yards and a pick, so that's not really that good. Lead rusher was Alvin Kamara, 26 carries for 120 yards. Then Taysom Hill with 28 yards and 2 touchdowns. Followed up, lead receiver was Marquez Callaway, 2 receptions, 74 yards, followed by Deontay Harris, 5 receptions for 52 yards. Ty Montgomery, 3 receptions, 42 yards. And the only guy to have a receiving touchdown was Jawan Johnson. The defense, we had 2 drives that lasted 1 play, where they just got it on 1 play, and if you exclude those plays and overtime, it was a pretty solid showing by the Saints, but those 2 burns that we had kind of stick out like a sore thumb. And then the football team barely came up with a victory over the Falcons. Taylor Heinicke threw for 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Maybe he will be the answer at quarterback for the football team. Lead rusher was Antonio Gibson with 63 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was Terry McLaurin, 6 receptions, 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. Scary Terry is back. And then J.D. McKissick, 5 receptions, 44 yards and a touchdown. And then Carter with 1 reception, 24 yards. And that was pretty much it. The defense, all the hype all around that defense completely gone. They were completely exposed by the Falcons. They've been exposed all season, but you were able to hang on for the victory, but it's against the Falcons. Come on, it's the Falcons. Saints are favored to win this one by 2.5. I'm going to say that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Starting off with the Titans, you guys just lost the Jets. Anyway, starting off, that was absolutely embarrassing. Ryan Tannehill threw for 298 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. I will give him a bit of a benefit of the doubt because he was without A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. So, yeah, that kind of explains it. No, it doesn't. You shouldn't be losing to the Jets. Derrick Henry ran for 157 yards and a touchdown. McNichols, lead receiver, 8 receptions, 74 yards, followed by Rodgers with 5 receptions for 63 yards. Josh Reynolds, 6 receptions, 59 yards, and then Westbrook, 3 receptions, 29 yards. The defense, the Jets winning, it's less about them and more concerning about how bad your defense is. I knew it was bad, but I didn't think it would be this bad. Nothing else to say about that. And then the Jaguars, close game against Cincinnati Bengals. It was a rematch between Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow, just like the 2020 National Championship game. But just like the National Championship game, Joe Burrow came out on top. Trevor Lawrence threw for 204 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was James Robinson with 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's good to see that he's finally getting the ball more, especially on the goal line. Trevor Lawrence had 36 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was Laviska Shenault Jr., 6 receptions, 99 yards, followed by Dan Arnold, 2 receptions, 29 yards. Then Jamal Agnew, 1 reception, 27 yards. And that was pretty much it. The defense fell apart to the Cincinnati Bengals, but they low-key have a pretty good offense. I mean, especially with like Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and of course Jamar Chase. The Titans are favored to win this one by 4, and considering that Derrick Henry partly owns the Jacksonville Jaguars, yeah, give me the Titans that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Starting off with the Miami Dolphins, you guys are in trouble. You lost to the Colts 27-17. Jacoby Brissett was kind of meh against the Colts. He threw for 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Malcolm Brown was the lead rusher with 23 yards. You guys don't really have that much of a rushing game. You need to give Myles Gaskin the ball a little bit more. Anyways, lead receiver was Devontae Parker with 4 receptions, 77 yards and a touchdown. Followed that with Mike Gesicki, 5 receptions, 57 yards and a touchdown. Then Jalen Waddle, 3 receptions, 33 yards. And that was pretty much it. The defense struggled against the Indianapolis Colts, especially against the rush game. But once the rush game kind of gets going for the Colts, it's kind of hard to stop them. And then the Buccaneers. In Tom Brady's return, he was kind of quiet. So honestly, the offense in the last 2 games hasn't really lived up to the hype that it did in its first 2 games, but in the first 2 games they were facing weak defenses. Now they're facing some stronger defenses, so Buccaneers are starting to get a little bit overrated. Anyways, Tom Brady passed for 269 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Nice. Leonard Fournette was your lead rusher with 91 yards, followed by Ronald Jones with 25 yards and a touchdown. Then Brady, he had 3 rushing yards. Had a nice little slide and a smile with it. Lead receiver was Mike Evans, 7 receptions, 75 yards, followed by Antonio Brown, 7 receptions for 63 yards. Chris Godwin, 3 receptions, 55 yards, and finished it off. Leonard Fournette, 3 receptions, 47 yards. The defense silenced the New England Patriots, held them to 17 points, but it's the Patriots offense. They're not really that scary. They're all defense, and they don't have Stephon Gilmore, but didn't really matter all that much. Now, if this game was taking place in Miami, I would have given the benefit of the doubt to the Dolphins to win this game because Tom Brady sucks in Miami, but the Buccaneers are 10-point favorites, so yeah, give me the Bucs that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the Cincinnati Bengals. Starting out with the Packers, just like Super Bowl 45, you beat the Steelers. Not the exact same score, but you won 27-17. Aaron Rodgers threw for 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He was pretty solid against a pretty strong Steelers defense. Lead rusher was A.J. Dillon with 81 yards, followed by Aaron Jones with 48 yards, but Aaron Rodgers was the only one with a rushing touchdown. He had 2 rushing yards. Lead receiver was actually Randall Cobb, 5 receptions, 69 yards, nice, and 2 touchdowns, showing that the connection is somewhat back, although it's not what it once was. Followed up with Devontae Adams, 6 receptions, 64 yards, and then Aaron Jones, 3 receptions, 51 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense silenced the Pittsburgh Steelers, but come on. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers, led by Ben Roethlisberger. He's been absolutely terrible this year, and his career is coming to an end. And then the Bengals, 24-21 victory over the Jaguars. Super sluggish first half, but you just completely kicked it up in the second half on the offense and the defensive side. Joe Burrow threw for 348 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was Joe Mixon with 67 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was Tyler Boyd, 9 receptions, 118 yards, but he was only the second best producer on offense because that went to C.J. Uzomah, 5 receptions, 95 yards, and 2 touchdowns, followed by Jamar Chase, 6 receptions, 77 yards. And that was pretty much it. The defense, like I said, struggled with the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first half, but completely locked them down in the second half. So good job to you guys getting the victory. Packers are 3-point favorites to win this one. Yeah, give me the Packers that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very first 4 o'clock matchup between the Chicago Bears and the Las Vegas Raiders. Starting off with the Bears, you beat the Lions. Matt Nagy keeps his jobs, which is a huge problem. Anyways, Justin Fields threw for 209 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Better than in his first start. Not much. I mean, actually much better, but still not amazing. Lead rusher was Dave Montgomery with 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. He is injured, so they had Damian Williams who ran for 55 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was Darnell Mooney, 5 receptions, 125 yards, followed by Allen Robinson, 3 receptions, 63 yards. Honestly, Robinson has been a huge disappointment this season. Like, the hype that he was given, he just hasn't lived up to it yet. And that was pretty much it for the receiving game. The defense silenced the Detroit Lions, but it's the Lions. I mean, come on, anyone can silence them. And then the Raiders, you were 3-0, but I expected the Chargers just to kind of expose that. Derek Carr threw for 196 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Not really his best game. Josh Jacobs ran for 40 yards, and yeah, you guys have no rushing game. Lead receiver was Henry Ruggs, 3 receptions, 60 yards, followed by Darren Waller, 4 receptions, 50 yards and a touchdown. Then Hunter Renfrow, 6 receptions, 45 yards and a touchdown. And he did have a nice hit stick to stop a Chargers fake punt attempt, so good on you. Good on you, Hunter Renfrow. The defense fell apart to the LA Chargers, but you fell apart to Austin Eckler and Justin Herbert, but come on. I expected that. Especially with your defense being super overhyped, I expected you to crumble against them. But the Raiders are favored by 5.5 to win this one. But you know what? I'm going to take an upset on this one. Give me the Chicago Bears in this one. And now you have our very next matchup between the Cleveland Browns and the LA Chargers. Starting off with the Browns, close victory, 14-7 over the Minnesota Vikings. Baker Mayfield threw for 155 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Not his best game. His I think he had under 50% completion percentage. Not really what you want to see out of him. But the rush game completely carried. Nick Chubb had 100 rushing yards, followed by Kareem Hunt with 69 yards and a touchdown. Nice. Followed up, lead receiver was Rashard Higgins, 4 receptions, 63 yards, followed by Odell Beckham Jr., 2 receptions, 27 yards, and then Kareem Hunt, 2 receptions, 17 yards. And that was pretty much it. The defense, although I will give you credit for the defensive game because you held the Minnesota Vikings to only 7 points. Not many teams can contain an offense like that. So really good job to you guys. I'm glad your defense has turned around since what I saw from last year. And then the Chargers, huge win on Monday Night Football over the Las Vegas Raiders. Justin Herbert threw for 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was Austin Eckler. He popped off with 117 rush yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was not Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. It was Jared Cook, 6 receptions, 70 yards and a touchdown, followed by Keenan Allen, 7 receptions, 36 yards. Anderson, 1 reception, 34 yards. Austin Eckler, 3 receptions, 28 yards and a touchdown. And Mike Williams only had 1 reception, 11 yards. Down game for him. Hopefully he can rebound. The defense silenced the Las Vegas Raiders, so really good job on that. The Chargers are favored to win this one by 1.5, but you know how the Browns silenced the Vikings offense. I'm going to give the Browns the benefit on the doubt of this one. Give me the Browns. And now you have our very next matchup between the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. Honestly, when it comes to NFL rivalries, I think the rivalries inside the NFC East are always the best. Anyways, starting out with the New York Giants, huge victory over the New Orleans Saints. Huge upset, 27-21 in overtime. Daniel Jones threw for 402 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, although the 1 pick was on a Hail Mary, so I'm not really going to fault you for that one. Lead rusher was Saquon Barkley with 52 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver, Kenny Golladay, 6 receptions, 116 yards, followed by Kadarius Toney, 6 receptions, 78 yards, and then John Ross, 3 receptions, 77 yards and a touchdown, and then Saquon Barkley, 5 receptions, 74 yards and a touchdown. So really good job on the offense. The defense silenced the Saints offense, but, you know, we're still missing Michael Thomas and Traquan Smith, so yeah, I would expect our offense not to be as lethal, but of course, Jabril Peppers wins the coin toss. We want the fucking ball. And you won, so good job, even though it pisses me off. And then the Dallas Cowboys, excellent victory over the Carolina Panthers. I'm glad I saw the Panthers get a little bit exposed. Anyways, Dak Prescott threw for 188 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Zeke Elliott was lead rusher, 143 yards and a touchdown. I talked a lot of smack about him in the beginning of the season, but he's proven me wrong, so good job to Zeke. Tony Pollard followed it up with 67 yards. So honestly, that rush game of the Dallas Cowboys is lethal. If you can't stop that rush game, well, then you got the receiving game, which wasn't as good, but you know they have one of the best offenses in the league. So that's always going to be tough to stop. Lead receiver was Amari Cooper, 3 receptions, 69 yards and a touchdown. Nice. Followed by Dalton Schultz, 6 receptions, 58 yards and a touchdown. Followed by Wilson, 30 yards and a touchdown. Then Blake Jarwin, 18 yards and a touchdown. And that was it. The defense did stop the Carolina Panthers. They did have a little bit of trouble with DJ Moore, but other than that, good job to the Cowboys for getting that victory. Favored to win this one by 7. I'm going to say that they win, but don't cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the San Francisco 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals. Starting off with the 49ers, tough loss to the Seattle Seahawks, 28-21. Jimmy Garoppolo threw for 165 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He did get injured, so in came in Trey Lance, threw for 157 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. So he was okay in his debut. Lead rusher was Trey Sermon with 89 yards, and yeah, that was pretty much it. Lead receiver was Deebo Samuel. He's broken out this year. You know, he missed last year due to injury, but he's been doing amazing this season. 8 receptions, 156 yards, and 2 touchdowns, followed by Kyle Juszczyk, 4 receptions, 41 yards. And then Kittle, 4 receptions, 40 yards. And then finally round that off with Mohamed Sanu, 4 receptions, 35 yards. The defense struggled. You know, it struggled against the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, tried to hold them off for as long as possible, but the Seahawks this time woke up in the second half. So good on them. And then the Cardinals, 4-0, the only undefeated team left, with a huge win over the LA Rams, 37-20. Kyler Murray threw for 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was Chase Edmonds, 120 yards, but James Conner had 50 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then Kyler Murray with 39 yards. You accumulated over 200 rushing yards. That's insane. That rush is absolutely lethal. And then throw in the air raid. AJ Green, 5 receptions, 67 yards and a touchdown, followed by D-Hop, 4 receptions, 67 yards. And then Max Williams, 5 receptions, 66 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, that was pretty much it. The defense limited the Rams as much as possible, held them to only 20 points. So huge props to that defense for clutching up again. Cardinals are favored to win this one by 5.5, and I'm going to give them the win. It doesn't matter who's going to start between Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance. Cardinals are going to win, but don't cover the spread. And now you have our Sunday Night Football matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. Starting off with the Bills, a huge win, 40-0 over the Houston Texans, but it's the Texans. Josh Allen threw for 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Eventually, he got pulled for Mitch Trubisky. Lead rusher was Devin Singletary with 79 yards, followed by Zach Moss with 61 and a touchdown. And the only other person to have a rushing touchdown was Trubisky. So, yeah, that's embarrassing for the Texans. Lead receiver was Stephon Diggs, 7 receptions, 114 yards, followed by Emmanuel Sanders, 5 receptions, 74 yards. Then Dawson Knox, 5 receptions, 37 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's been breaking out, at least in the red zone. Other than that, he's okay at tight end. The defense just completely silenced the Houston Texans. Your defense is a little bit overrated because you did get 2 shutouts, but they were against the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans. So I would slow down on the Bills' hype. I still think they're an amazing team, but I think they're getting a little bit overrated. And then the Chiefs, you won 42-30 against the Eagles. Big concern for you guys is the defense. This year, it's been absolutely terrible. So honestly, I'm really struggling to figure out if you guys can go deep in the playoffs and maybe win another Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes threw for 278 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a pick. So good game for him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 102 yards. Then Darrell Williams, 42 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was Tyreek Hill, 11 receptions, 186 yards, and 3 touchdowns. If you can't figure out how to stop Tyreek Hill, good luck. Then followed up Byron Pringle, 23 yards. Travis Kelce, 23 yards. No one else really did much in the receiving game outside of Tyreek Hill. You guys struggled against the Philadelphia Eagles. So, like I said before, the defense is really going to be a huge concern, especially going into the playoffs. Chiefs, even though they're favored to win this one by 2.5, that defense I just don't trust right now. Give me the Bills. And now you have our Monday Night Football matchup between the Indianapolis Colts and the Baltimore Ravens. Starting off with the Colts, you finally won a game, 27-17 over the Miami Dolphins. Carson Wentz threw for 228 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. But the lead rusher was the highlight of the game. Jonathan Taylor, 103 yards and a touchdown, so good on him for finally bouncing back. Lead receiver was Michael Pittman Jr., 6 receptions, 59 yards, followed by Zach Pascal, 4 receptions, 43 yards, but the only one to have a touchdown was Mo Alley-Cox, 3 receptions, 42 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So good on him. The defense limited the Miami Dolphins, but that Miami offense is not really good. Doesn't matter if it's Jacoby Brissett or Tua Tagovailoa, they just don't have it, especially their O-line. It's absolutely terrible. Then the Baltimore Ravens, a big win over the Denver Broncos. Lamar Jackson threw for 316 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Latavius Murray was the lead rusher with 59 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver, Hollywood Brown, 4 receptions, 91 yards and a touchdown. So good to see he bounced back after a horrible game where he just had so many drops against the Lions. Followed by Prochet with 5 receptions, 74 yards. Mark Andrews, 5 receptions, 67 yards. Then finished that off, Sammy Watkins, 4 receptions, 49 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense limited the Denver Broncos to only 7 points. But, you know, their offense isn't exactly amazing. I mean, they've played absolutely crappy teams, and it didn't matter if it was Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock. I would expect you guys to shut down that offense. The Ravens are favored to win this one by 7. Yeah, that they're going to win and cover the spread. And that is going to wrap up my video for today. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you want to see all my other predictions and Saints recaps, they'll be all in the description below. If you want to see my Saints and Giants recap, click right over here. If you like this video, drop a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you have for this week, who's your upset of the week, who's your lock of the week, all that jazz. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok at Brennan Suter. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. Who Dat Nation is out.